Tonight, we visit the quiet depths of the ocean, where one of Earth's most ancient creatures moves slowly and silently across the sea floor. The sea star, also known as the starfish, has survived for hundreds of millions of years. It has no brain, no blood, and no heartbeat. Yet, it has outlasted nearly everything that has ever lived on this planet. It can regrow a lost arm, push its stomach outside its body to eat, and sense the world through nothing but touch and water. It lives in every ocean on Earth. From the warmest tropical reefs to the coldest polar floors, the sea star moves slowly and quietly through it all. There are over 2,000 species, each one carrying its own quiet story from the deep. Tonight, we explore fascinating facts about this ancient and remarkable creature. Let's begin. Sea stars live only in the ocean. They belong completely to saltwater. Their bodies depend on the gentle balance of minerals dissolved in the sea. The water that fills and moves through them must contain just the right amount of salt. This balance allows the tiny suction cups along their arms to cling to rocks, open shells, and carry them slowly across the sea floor. If a sea star were placed in fresh water, that balance would quietly disappear. Water would flow into its body too quickly and it would begin to swell. Without the salt of the ocean, its inner pressure would falter and its movements would weaken. It cannot survive there. And so, sea stars are never found in rivers or lakes. Even where melting ice freshens coastal waters, they remain in the true salt of the sea. Cold does not trouble them. Depth does not trouble them. But fresh water marks a clear and silent boundary. From coral reefs to the darkest plains of the deep ocean, they travel with currents and tides. Yet wherever a river meets the sea, there is a line they do not cross. This quiet limitation reminds us that life depends on unseen balances. A body may appear strong and enduring, yet it rests upon something invisible, a precise mixture of elements held in harmony. For sea stars, that harmony is the ocean itself. Sea stars are found in every ocean basin on Earth. Marine surveys and deep-sea expeditions confirm that members of the class Asteroidea live in tropical coral reefs along temperate shorelines and across polar seafloors. They appear on shallow rocks exposed at low tide, shelter among kelp forests, and extend across abyssal plains nearly 20,000 feet below the surface. Exploration with remotely operated vehicles and crude submersibles has recorded species in warm equatorial waters as well as in near-freezing polar seas. Their global range reflects flexibility in tolerating different temperatures, salinity levels, and food supplies. Across these varied settings, sea stars help shape life on the seafloor. They feed on clams and mussels, consume organic remains, and influence which species become common or scarce within benthic communities. Genetic studies show that their larvae can drift for long distances on ocean currents, sometimes traveling hundreds of kilometers before settling. This dispersal allows populations to spread between distant coastlines and deep-sea habitats. Despite changes in depth, climate, and ecosystem type, key features remain consistent: a radial body design and a water-filled system that powers movement, feeding, and breathing. These traits function effectively from sunlit reefs to dark ocean floors. On a planetary scale, their distribution demonstrates how one evolutionary line can occupy nearly every marine environment. From tropical coral systems to Antarctic seabeds, sea stars form a quiet but continuous presence across the world's oceans. Sea stars survived Earth's worst mass extinctions. 5 major events reshaped life in the oceans over the past 450 million years, yet sea stars persisted through each one. The end Ordovician extinction around 445 million years ago froze much of the planet and dropped sea levels, eliminating nearly 85% of marine species. The late Devonian crisis, about 375 million years ago, brought anoxic waters that suffocated reefs and fish. The Permian-Triassic event, 252 million years ago, the most severe, erased over 90% of ocean life through volcanic outgassing, acidification, and warming. The Cretaceous-Paleogene impact 66 million years ago delivered a global dust cloud that darkened skies and collapsed food chains. In each case, sea stars endured, as shown by fossil sequences and strata from sites like the Cincinnati region and the European chalk beds, where Asterozoan remains appear on both sides of extinction horizons, documented in studies such as a 2019 review in paleontology by paleontologists examining post-extinction recovery patterns. These crises spanned intervals when entire clades vanished forever, while sea stars crossed the boundaries with only temporary reductions in diversity before radiating again. Their simple body plan, decentralized systems, and ability to tolerate low oxygen or variable conditions, living sea stars move across the same seafloor types their ancestors knew. The record of their survival lies in thin fossil layers that mark moments when most life faltered, yet the quiet persistence of this group through repeated global resets still invites closer study of what traits truly confer such long-term resilience. Sea stars have no brain. A nerve ring replaces a brain in sea stars. Encircling the central disk, this ring connects radial nerve cords that extend into each arm, forming a decentralized network. Neurobiological studies show that this system coordinates movement, feeding, and environmental responses without central processing. Sensory cells along the arms detect touch, vibration, and chemical cues, sending signals through the ring to modulate local action. Experiments reveal that even when arms are temporarily isolated, they can continue moving toward food, demonstrating autonomous control within each limb. The water vascular system interacts with this network, driving the tiny suction structures along the arms to grip surfaces, manipulate objects, and adjust posture. Observations of climbing behavior, shell opening, and reorientation in currents highlight how this distributed nervous system allows flexible, adaptive responses to complex seafloor environments. Evolutionary comparisons indicate that radial nervous systems function effectively for organisms lacking a front-back axis, balancing redundancy and localized control. Across the body, each arm contributes independently, yet the nerve ring ensures coordinated patterns of movement. There is no single head directing action. Instead, a collaborative network enables the starfish to explore, feed, and react as a whole organism. Its responsiveness emerges from the interaction of many small control points rather than a central command center. This organization emphasizes interaction with the environment. Sea stars show that nervous systems can operate differently from familiar animals, relying on distributed sensing and control. Their behavior illustrates a quiet elegance in how life adapts to shape, symmetry, and ecological demands without centralized coordination. Sea stars do not carry blood through veins. Instead, the sea itself moves within them. Ocean water flows through a network of delicate canals inside their bodies. From a small opening on their surface, water enters and travels in slow pathways that reach into each arm. These pathways connect to the tiny suction cups along the underside, allowing the arms to stretch, hold, and glide across the seafloor. The movement of this water gives strength to their limbs. As it shifts and settles, it carries what the sea provides: oxygen, nourishment, and the means to release what is no longer needed. There is no heart beating at the center. There are no vessels pulsing beneath the surface, only the quiet rhythm of seawater moving through living tissue. This gentle flow supports every arm at once. No matter how the sea star rests, upright, tilted, or clinging to stone, the water reaches outward evenly, sustaining its radial form. In this way, the sea star and the ocean are not separate. The boundary between outside and inside feels thin. The same water that surrounds it also moves within it. It is a reminder that life does not always depend on familiar structures. Sometimes, What sustains a body is not carried in red rivers beneath the skin, but drawn directly from the world around it, simple, steady, and in quiet harmony with the sea. On the upper surface of a sea star's central disk, there is a small, pale opening. Through its fine pores, seawater slowly enters. It passes inward and joins a network of quiet canals that stretch into each arm. As the water moves, it gives the arms their strength to extend, to hold fast, and to draw food closer. This small opening does more than admit water. It helps keep the sea star's inner balance steady. The flow can ease or increase as tides shift and currents pass overhead. Even changes in saltiness are gently met, as the water moving inside adjusts to match the world outside. Because of this steady exchange, each arm receives what it needs. The tiny suction cups along the underside can press softly against stone. The body can breathe. Nourishment can travel where it is required. All of this begins at a single, quiet pour. The madreporate is simple in form, yet constant in its work. It does not rush. It does not force. It simply allows the ocean to enter in measured rhythm. And so, the sea star remains connected to its surroundings, not sealed away from the water, but open to it. The ocean flows in, the ocean flows through, and the boundary between body and sea feels almost seamless. A sea star's mouth rests on the underside of its body. It faces the sea floor, always turned toward the sand, rock, or reef below. When the sea star moves, it glides slowly over the surface, and its mouth remains close to whatever lies beneath. When it finds food, it settles gently over it. The arms curve inward, and the tiny suction cups hold the surface with patient steadiness. There is no rush. The body simply lowers itself, aligning carefully with what it has found. Because the mouth sits underneath, feeding feels almost like an embrace with the seafloor. The arms help guide and steady, working together in quiet coordination. Each arm plays a part, surrounding, supporting, holding. Even as it feeds, the sea star can continue its slow movement, inching forward while remaining connected to the surface below. Its body design allows everything to happen close to the ground, close to the ocean floor where its life unfolds. There is a kind of harmony in this arrangement. The mouth below, the arms radiating outward, the body resting against stone or sand. Nothing is lifted high. Nothing is separate from the surface it explores. In this way, the sea star's structure matches its world. It does not reach upward to feed. It meets the ocean floor exactly where it is, moving slowly, steadily, and in quiet balance with its surroundings. When a sea star settles over a clam or mussel, something unusual happens. Its mouth, resting on the underside of its body, opens quietly. From within, part of its stomach can slowly extend outward, reaching into the narrow space between the shells. The movement is gradual and careful, guided by the steady hold of its arms. Rather than pulling food inside all at once, the sea star begins to digest it where it rests. The process is slow. Soft tissues are gently broken down outside the body, while the arms remain anchored, holding the shell in patient tension. Hours may pass, sometimes even longer. The sea star does not hurry. As nourishment becomes available, the stomach gradually withdraws again, drawing what it has gathered back inside. The body resumes its rounded shape, and the arms relax their grip. Each arm plays a quiet role in this act. They brace against the surface, share the strain, and keep the body steady while feeding continues beneath. It is an unusual way to eat, yet perfectly suited to life on the seafloor. The sea star does not need a wide mouth or sharp teeth. Instead, it meets its food where it lies and allows time to do the work. In this slow exchange, there is no struggle or rush, only patience, contact, and the steady rhythm of survival on the ocean floor. Eyes are located at the tip of each arm. These are simple light-sensitive structures known as eye spots, positioned at the distal end of every limb. Research in marine biology shows that they detect changes in light and shadow, providing spatial awareness of the surrounding environment. While they cannot form detailed images, the eyes help guide movement toward or away from stimuli, aiding in orientation and positioning on complex surfaces such as rocky reefs or sandy seafloors. Each eye spot connects to the radial nerve cord within the arm, allowing the limb to respond autonomously while still contributing to coordinated behavior across the body. Observations indicate that the star-shaped body can adjust posture and alignment based on the combined input from multiple eye spots, enabling subtle responses to currents, shadows, or approaching objects. The placement at the arm tips maximizes the field of perception, giving the organism a wide sensory reach without requiring a centralized brain. Across the radial layout, each arm functions as a sensory extension, providing feedback that informs the entire body's slow, deliberate movements and interactions with its environment. The arrangement demonstrates quiet, functional efficiency, showing how a simple structure at the periphery can guide an entire organism's awareness and orientation in the marine habitat. Sea stars breathe in a very simple way. Across their surface are tiny, delicate bumps. These small projections rise gently from the central disc and along each arm. They are thin and soft, and through them, the sea star draws what it needs from the water. As currents pass overhead, fresh seawater moves across these bumps. With each slow shift of the tide, oxygen slips inward, and what is no longer needed drifts back out. There are no lungs filling and emptying, no chest rising and falling, only the steady flow of the ocean touching the skin. Because these breathing structures are spread across the body, every arm receives what it requires. The sea star does not breathe in one place alone. It breathes everywhere at once. Its own gentle movements help as well. As it glides over rock or sand, water continues to wash across its surface, keeping this quiet exchange in motion. If the surface becomes covered in silt, the process slows. Clean, moving water is essential. The sea star depends completely on the quality and rhythm of the sea around it. In this way, breathing is not separate from the ocean. It happens through contact, through the constant meeting of body and water. There is something peaceful in that simplicity. No rush, no effort, just the quiet passing of water over living skin again and again beneath the shifting light of the sea. Sea stars have a quiet, remarkable way of renewing themselves. If an arm remains connected to part of the central disc, it can slowly grow back the missing limbs and internal pathways. Over days and weeks, new tissue extends outward. Arms lengthen, tiny suction cups form along their undersides, and the networks that carry water, nourishment, and life gradually return. Even before the body is complete, the growing limb can feel its surroundings, cling to stone, and sense the gentle currents around it. The pace is calm and steady. Nothing is rushed. The radial symmetry of the sea star, its arms stretching evenly from the center, slowly reappears as if the body itself remembers its shape. Water, food, and movement flow naturally through the regenerating arms, supporting growth from within. This ability works only when the arm carries a piece of the central disc. Without it, a lone arm cannot become a full sea star. But with even a small connection to the center, the body can rebuild, restoring balance, function, and form. There is a quiet persistence in this renewal. Life continues gently, arm by arm, extending outward, guided by the rhythms of the ocean and the patience of time. Some sea stars can voluntarily release an arm when they are threatened. This defensive behavior, known as autotomy, allows the central disc and remaining limbs to move away while a predator's attention is drawn to the separated arm. Within each limb, special connective tissues at the base can loosen on command, letting the arm part cleanly without harming surrounding structures or the main body. Observations show that detached limb may continue slight, drifting motions due to residual nerve activity, quietly keeping focus away from the central disc. After the arm is released, the radial nerve ring and water-filled canals within the central disc gently guide the remaining limbs, redistributing strength, coordination, and subtle pressure to maintain smooth movement and balance. This controlled response can be triggered by gentle pressure, changes in the surrounding water, or the brush of a predator, showing a deliberate adaptive strategy rather than a random loss. Over weeks, months, or even longer, depending on the species, temperature, and available nourishment, a new arm slowly grows from the wound site, gradually restoring the missing limb and re-establishing the star's radial symmetry. Across the radial body, this ability highlights how each arm works semi-independently while still contributing to the whole, maintaining both mobility and coordinated function even after sacrifice. The combination of escape and patient recovery demonstrates a quiet, thoughtful survival advantage, showing how life can use controlled release and gradual renewal to preserve balance, function, and continuity in a challenging marine environment. Some sea star species reproduce by gently dividing themselves. This quiet process, known as fission, begins when the central disc slowly separates into two portions. Each part then begins the patient work of regrowing the missing arms and inner pathways until two complete sea stars exist where there was once one. In certain species, this division happens naturally, sometimes influenced by the surrounding world, the warmth of the water, the availability of food, or how many others share the same space. After the split, each half begins to rebuild. New digestive pathways form. Water-filled canals extend outward. Reproductive tissues return. Tiny suction cups appear along the growing arms, allowing the forming sea star to touch and hold the seafloor even before it is fully restored. Growth begins at the edge where separation occurred and moves gradually outward. The pace is slow and steady, often taking many months, sometimes longer, depending on the species and the conditions around it. As the body rebuilds, the circular nerve ring and the nerves within each arm quietly guide the process. Movement returns little by little. Sensitivity to light, touch, and current gradually reawakens. Through this method, a single sea star can give rise to another without joining with a mate. In places where partners are distant or scarce, this ability helps maintain the population. The new individual carries the same genetic pattern as the original, continuing the same living design. Across the star-shaped body, each new life emerges from tissue already capable of renewal, showing how regeneration and reproduction can blend together. It is a calm and patient strategy, survival and continuation unfolding from within, revealing how flexibility and quiet persistence sustain life in the shifting rhythms of the sea. Some sea star species have venomous spines. Field studies reveal that these specialized projections along the arms and central disc can deliver toxins when contacted by predators or other animals. Researchers note that the venom acts both as a deterrent and a defense, causing discomfort, pain, or mild paralysis in potential attackers, discouraging further interaction. Experiments indicate that predators often avoid areas where venomous spines are present, learning to recognize the warning coloration and sharp projections before attempting to feed. The spines themselves are rigid and pointed, combining mechanical protection with chemical defense, and they operate passively, requiring no active strike or movement. Microscopic examination shows channels within the spines that release toxins gradually when pressure is applied, allowing the sea star to maintain safety while moving across its environment. Venomous spines often coexist with other protective features such as rough texture and hard calcium carbonate plates, creating multiple layers of defense that reduce vulnerability to predation. Across the radial body, venomous spines line the arms in patterns that maximize coverage, ensuring that any physical contact with the animal triggers a deterrent response. This process-focused observation highlights how life can combine chemical and structural strategies for protection, showing subtle, integrated mechanisms that enhance survival without requiring rapid movement or centralized control. More than 2,000 kinds of sea stars live in oceans across the world. They inhabit an extraordinary range of places, from bright, shallow reefs warmed by sunlight to dim, quiet stretches of the deep sea floor. Some endure tropical warmth. Others live in waters so cold they hover near freezing. Across these shifting conditions, sea stars have taken on many forms. Their bodies vary in shape and size. Some have 5 slender arms. Others carry many more, spreading outward in wide circles. Surfaces may be smooth, knobby, spiny, or softly textured. Colors range from muted sand tones to brilliant oranges, purples, and deep reds. In tide pools, small and resilient species cling to rocks as waves pass overhead. In open coastal waters, larger forms move with surprising speed. The sunflower star, for example, spreads its many arms like a living sun across the sea floor. Across distant coastlines and scattered ocean basins, sea stars have adapted to the specific rhythm of each place. Some dwell along rocky shores. Others rest on sandy plains. A few inhabit great depths, in regions of the ocean that remain only lightly explored. Over immense stretches of time, these many species have branched and diversified, forming a wide family of related forms. Feeding habits differ. Reproductive patterns vary. Surface features shift with habitat and need. Yet, across this diversity, the familiar radial shape remains. Arms extending from a central disk, quietly linking them all. Taken together, their presence forms a global pattern. Sea stars, scattered through nearly every marine environment, each shaped gently by the waters it calls home. Some of the smallest sea stars measure less than half an inch from armtip to armtip, tucked into narrow coral crevices, resting beneath small rocks or nestled among blades of seagrass. In these sheltered spaces, their tiny size becomes an advantage. It helps them avoid larger predators and remain steady in shifting water. Though small, their structure mirrors that of their larger relatives. Arms extend from a central disk. Suction structures line the undersides. Internal systems move nutrients and fluids through their bodies. Everything is present, simply reduced in scale. Their movements are careful and exact. They feed on what larger sea stars might overlook: fine particles, thin films of growth on rock, and minute organisms. In tight spaces where food is scattered and subtle, this precision allows them to thrive. Small size also allows them to survive where room is limited and resources are sparse. Across different regions, slight variations appear. Arms that bend more easily, surfaces that grip uneven stone, textures that help them anchor securely in narrow gaps. Along the seafloor, these tiny forms play a quiet role. By consuming microorganisms, they help keep surfaces balanced and assist in the steady recycling of nutrients within their small habitats. Their presence offers a simple reminder: life does not depend on scale. Even at the smallest size, structure remains complete, movement remains purposeful, and each organism continues to interact fully with its surroundings. Some sea stars can grow to nearly 3 feet across, reaching a size that requires years of gradual development. Unlike fast-growing marine animals, large sea stars increase in size slowly. Growth occurs through steady tissue expansion along the arms and central disk, supported by continuous nutrient absorption. This process can take many years, and in some species, individuals may live for decades. As body size increases, so does energy demand. Larger sea stars require sustained access to food to maintain tissue mass and internal balance. Their feeding patterns often become less frequent, but more substantial, with extended digestion periods between meals. The process of growth also influences regeneration. When large individuals lose an arm, replacement takes considerably longer than in smaller species. The energy investment required required to rebuild a full-length arm is substantial, and regrowth may extend over multiple seasons. Large body size is therefore not simply an expansion of form. It reflects long-term survival, stable access to nourishment, and gradual accumulation of tissue over time. Each full-grown individual represents years of uninterrupted development. At this scale, size signals duration, a record of sustained growth rather than rapid expansion. Across the oceans, sea stars continue their slow, steady journey, moving with quiet purpose across the seafloor. Each arm extends and retracts in measured rhythm, the tiny suction structures working together with a subtle hydraulic pulse. Even in stillness, life hums gently within their bodies, circulating nutrients, sensing light and chemicals, and responding to touch and vibration with calm deliberation. They do not rush, yet they persist day after day, season after season, carrying out their lives in perfect balance with the world around them. Some glide over sandy plains, others cling to rocky outcrops or hide among coral and seagrass. Their movements are subtle, almost imperceptible, yet coordinated across the radial body, every arm participating in the silent, continuous work of survival. Even the smallest species, barely half an inch, share this same quiet orchestration, while the largest stretch their arms across 3 feet, still operating with the same steady, thoughtful rhythm. In observing them, we can sense the calm patience embedded in life itself. There is no rush, no hurry, just ongoing presence and quiet purpose. And as we leave them to their gentle, deliberate existence, we too can slow our breath, settle into stillness, and rest. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one gentle soul at a time. Good night.